Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. Now if you don't know what I'm about to get into, you haven't seen last video where I basically am going through everything I've ever watched through TodayTix and sharing little mini reviews and star ratings and sharing how much I paid for each ticket. I have already done from 2017, which is my first ticket, all the way up to 2022, and that will be my last video, which I will try and remember to link down below and also shall be linked at the end. But if you want to see the rest of the list, which is 2023 and 24, then stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. Right, let's get back into it before it's too much talking on my end. We have, starting 2023, the one, the only Tina Turner, or Tina, the Tina Turner musical. I bought another rush ticket for this, so I spent £25 and I've given it 3.5/4. The reason for that is because Act 1 is a lot. The initial 40 minutes of Act 1 is quite, I wouldn't say hard going, but it's hard hitting. There is a few trigger warnings going into the show that you have to be aware of in relation to abuse, and obviously it's a true story. And it is an excellent musical, but it's not one that I'd rush back for, just because it was a lot to go through the first time, if you catch my drift. Plus, that rush ticket had me in row A, or AA, whichever is front row, at the Aldwych, and that was very close. So, there we are. Second, in 2023, we watched Sylvia. I paid £78 for that ticket and I've given it 4/4.5. That was an immense musical, an immense cast. Again, very hard hitting. But again, I enjoyed it, and if it did come back, I would try my best to go and watch it. I just wish that the tickets were cheaper, but that is an Old Vic thing. I don't think I've ever had a cheap Old Vic ticket in my life. Not that I visited a lot, I think I've visited like 3 times. But there's that. Next up, in a complete different vein of musical theatre to Sylvia, for £25 I watched the Great British Bake Off musical. And I will stand on this hill and say that that was an absolutely bloody funny musical. I really enjoyed it. It didn't take itself seriously. The cast in it were absolutely just brilliant. The music also was really, really fun, to the point that I'm still listening to some of it now. Yeah, it was just fun. It didn't take itself seriously, like the show itself. And if you're a fan of Great British Bake Off, the TV programme, it was the musical to go and watch. It just was really good. Deal with it. I love it. Moving on, we then had Guys and Dolls the first time round. First time I went to that show, I did standing. I paid £44. And it was a definite 5-star rating. If you don't know me and my channel, I've been there a few times. I would 100% recommend doing standing, but I have also on this channel somewhere got a standing versus sitting video, because I've experienced both, and I will try it. And again, remember to link it. If not, go to my channel page and search, because my memory is terrible. Next up, we've got Ain't Too Proud, which I paid £30 for the ticket. I believe that was Rush. I've given it 3.5/4. Again, it was a great show with a great cast, but I feel like for me something was missing, and I don't know if it was down to the audience that I was with, because there was a lot of singing going on and that kind of takes away from a show for me. But yeah, it was a great show, but it wasn't one that I would rush to go and watch again if it came back round. Next up, for £40 and with a rating of 4/4.5, we have Newsies. What a show that was. It was literally all singing or dancing. I need to get back to that theatre, because now the theatre that Newsies is in is where Starlight is on, and I want to see how they adapted this space for a different musical. But it was incredible show, really fun, and the fact that anything could come flying past you or over you or around you at any moment, even though it wasn't essentially an immersive show, was just really fun and clever. And yeah, I would 100% go and watch it again if it came back. Next up, we have A Strange Loop. I paid £47 for my ticket and I've given it a rating of 4. Strange Loop is an interesting one because again, I didn't know what was going into. It was basically a decision that I wanted to go and watch it because I'd heard amazing things, and the cast again were really great. I don't know if I would necessarily like run straight back to go and see it if it came back round again, but to see it was really interesting. And obviously it's not from a viewpoint that I know well, and so it was interesting to watch from that respect, if that makes sense. Next up, for £15, the cheapest of all the tickets on my list, spoiler alert, we had Accidental Death of an Anarchist. I would tear off my right arm to see that show again. It was absolutely brilliant, so funny. Again, the cast were amazing, and that £15 ticket had me sat in the stalls. I mean, I can't complain. It was an absolutely great show, and quite rightly I've given it a 5-star rating. Thank you. Next up, we've got Crazy For You. I paid £35, which wasn't a rush ticket, but I do believe it was an offer ticket. Again, I've given it a 5-star rating for the same reason 42nd Street. The music in it is excellent, the cast was insane, the dancing was incredible. I like old-timey musicals, and by old-timey I mean like modern classics, like your Crazy For Yous, your 42nd Streets, that kind of ilk. So there we go. To a point, Guys and Dolls I'd put in there, but is it a modern classic? You decide. Speaking of Guys and Dolls, the next one I bought through TodayTix was Guys and Dolls at the Bridge Theatre, where I sat this time and still paid £44. I feel no need to say anything else about that show because I've already whittled on previously. I think it's safe to say that if you've got this far into the video and you have yet to see Guys and Dolls, then just do yourself a favour and go and watch it. Whether you're seated or standing, you will enjoy your trip. Also, if you want to know the differences between sitting and standing, why did I do that voice? I don't know. I do have a video on this channel where I discuss them. Next up, we've got Dear England. I paid £25 and 100% was a 5-star rating for me. I didn't know what I was getting into. I again then got slightly worried when it said it was a almost 3-hour show including interval. I was like, okay, can they really talk for 3 hours about football? But I took it all back the moment that it started. It was funny, it was clever, I just really enjoyed it. It was a great play. I believe it's coming back briefly, or have I imagined that? Some kind of iteration is happening, and I can't remember if it's a play or if they're turning it into a TV programme. Someone tell me down below. But yeah, it was really, really good and a surprise winner of one of my favourite shows in 2023. After that we had Choir of Man, where I paid £33 and gave it a 4-star rating. That show wasn't my planned show, if I remember correctly. My show got cancelled and last minute I needed to find something, and if that is the case, you will always find me in the jungle. I will always head to Choir of Man. It's happened twice. 2 times I've been to see a show and the show has cancelled last minute, and I always end up at the jungle because it is a quick show, it is a fun show, and I just really enjoy it. And sometimes when you've got devastating news like the show you wanted to see has been cancelled, you just want to see something that's going to make you happy. Finishing off 2023, we've got 2 more shows. We have Time Traveller's Wife, which I've given 3.5. I quite enjoyed the show. Again, like a few others on my full list, it was one I knew nothing about. I'd never seen the film or read the book, but I was pleasantly surprised. The music took a bit of getting into. I don't think I appreciated it when I sat in the theatre and listened to it. However, the songs, so some of the songs now are on my list of on repeat songs, and the cast, again, like many on this list, were brilliant, so it was a 3.5. Finishing off the year in 2023 through TodayTix, we have The Little Big Things. Watching or writing this list has made me realise that I have yet to see the at home streamed version of this show, and how has that happened? I truly don't know. It was such an amazing show. The setting of it being in essentially the Round was also really interesting. I paid £30 for my ticket. It was a rush ticket, and the best thing, I think, or the best reason to show why I use TodayTix so often and try and get rush tickets or reduced price tickets is because in that show in particular, I was sat in the auditorium during the interval, and I ended up talking to the 2 people to my right, and they had decided, again like me, to see the show last minute, and the only tickets available were the 2 next to me. However, they did not know of TodayTix and therefore had paid £70 for each of their tickets, and there was little old me sitting smug paying £30, and yeah, it's just the best thing when you find out stuff like that. I did, of course, let them in on the knowledge of TodayTix and how it can give you sometimes some decently priced tickets. Nearly there now. We are into 2024 and the first one that I bought through TodayTix was just for one day, which I paid £28 for, which was good for me at the Old Vic. I was at the top of the top, which kind of explains the price, I suppose, but at the same time I missed nothing and saw all and heard all. I really enjoyed Just for One Day. I have given it 4 out of 5. But I think that was just more personal preference. So there we are. I don't know where to go with that. So we're going to move on because the next one again is Choir of Man. For the second time on this list, I went to see it because my show had cancelled. This time I paid £18 for my ticket because I stood. I didn't even know that standing at the Choir of Man was possible until that opportunity came to me. It was an interesting experience and it felt sometimes less immersive and sometimes more immersive because the Choir of Man, they do move around quite a lot, and in fact ran past me about 5 times throughout the show. Also, the person that I was stood next to on one side was watching the show and also rehearsing to go into the Chicago cast of Choir of Man. So the cast I was watching was quite known and knew the guy to my right, so that was an interesting experience because they obviously high-fived and hugged and did all that jazz. So that was a completely unexpected but really cool experience that will never probably happen again. So that was cool. Then we go on to Bronco Billy, which I paid £25.50 for the tickets. I never reviewed the show because I went on closing day to the closing performance and my brain decided that there was no point ever reviewing the show because it was the end. But I do hope it has some other life. It was a silly but fun musical. It didn't take itself seriously and the cast were excellent and I gave it 4 stars. Nearly rounding out our list, we have 5 to get through. We have Two Strangers, which I paid £25. It was a rush ticket. I was dead front, not quite centre, but I did get within like 10 feet of Sam Tutty's bum, so I don't know what information that gives you. I, as we all know, truly enjoy Two Strangers. I'm hoping maybe to get back before it closes, but it does close the end of this month and I don't know if I've got another London trip in me before that end of month happens. But it's just fun. I've rambled about it recently in a couple of videos, so I'm not going to ramble about it now, but if you haven't already seen the show, go and check it out. It's just so good. Next up we had a concert, the Star Kid concert. I paid £77 for my ticket. I haven't rated this one because it was a concert and it wasn't like a concert version of a show like I have talked about previously in either this video or the last one, and it was more a concert of a group's work, if you will. I enjoyed watching Star Kid live, but I don't know if I would go and watch another one of their concerts just because being in that crowd was a lot. It was loud, it was quite screamy, and I went alone and I don't think I could do that again. Now on to the last 3. We have Kiss Me Kate, which I gave 4.5 and have recently done a full review on. I paid £66 for that ticket, and I would probably do that again. So I have no qualms sometimes on paying a little bit more for a ticket. My usual way of working TodayTix is to, firstly, if I know what I want to watch, go through Rush, and if I'm not successful, then I weigh up my options, and if I'm happy to pay a bit extra, then I will. Also, whilst we're talking about TodayTix and such, they are currently, I don't know if they have fully released it or if I'm just part of a program, but they have something called TodayTix Drops, and those tickets are usually reduced, and they do say that they are deals for just the person who is on that. So today, I could get a reduced Frozen ticket or a reduced 39 Steps ticket. So instead of paying £23 for something, I could pay £9, which sounds like an incredible deal and makes me want to run down to London. But I think that's how I got my Kiss Me Kate ticket. So if that is available to you, also check out the drops section on TodayTix. By the way, TodayTix don't even know that I exist. I'm just trying to help out people who like theatre but don't like to spend cash. Penultimately on this list we have Kathy and Stella. Again, I don't need to talk too much about it in this video because it's recently had its own review. I gave it 4.5 and I paid £25 for a Rush ticket, which was pretty decent since I was mid stalls. You can't go wrong. Sometimes Rush does you so well and gives you such an amazing seat at a decent price, and then sometimes they put you like front center which is kind of scary. And finally on the list, and the last thing that I need to talk about, we have Mean Girls. I did initially go in for Rush for that, but I was unsuccessful, even though I was there literally at 10 o'clock on the dot. But I did snag one of the last few tickets left in the theatre for that afternoon, which was £60, which I suppose for the stalls in this day and age is okay, but 25 or £30 would have been much more pleasant. But hey ho, I decided I wanted to see it. It was in my mind that I wanted to see it, so I just stumped out the cash, because sometimes you just gotta treat yourselves. And there we are. The full list over 2 separate videos is complete. I don't even want to know how much money I've spent through TodayTix over the years since 2017. All I can say is that I don't really drink, I don't really smoke, I don't go out. I'm very much a home bird, and theatre makes me happy. So if I want to splurge on a ticket, then that is okay. But anyway, I'm going to leave you alone because this room has got incredibly hot and my face has probably gone from like normal colour to bright red throughout this video. So I'm going to fling the windows back open and leave you be. All I'm going to say now is the usual. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you come back next time. We have some reviews coming up because I'm going to spend a weekend seeing shows. So look out for those. And other than that, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love you all lots. So long. Cheerio. That's not even the order. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and adieu. Bye.